has three parts to it. In the first part, I would be elaborating on the decision of the MPC and the rationale behind the MPC's decision. In the second part, I have attempted to provide some forward guidance with regard to the liquidity position and our liquidity management. And in the third part, I would be announcing certain additional measures, some of which are very important and have systemic impact. So I request your patience. 2% to 5% in the H1. Let me repeat, for the current quarter, our projection is that CPI inflation will be 5.2%. And for H1, the range we are giving is 5.2% to 5%. And for Q3 of next year, we are projecting 4.3%. And we are assessing that the risks would be broadly balanced. By March 21, the government would be reviewing the inflation target for the next 5 years. The experience with successfully maintaining price stability and gains in credibility for monetary policy since institution of the inflation targeting framework, barring the COVID-19 period, needs to be reinforced in the coming years even as we exit the pandemic and seek to exploit the opportunities of the post-COVID world. Price stability is the foundation on which economy can strive to reach its potential in a virtuous cycle of higher financial savings and investment, reduced uncertainties for firms in investment and wage decisions, reduced term and risk premia in financial markets, and increased external competitiveness. I now proceed to provide some forward guidance with regard to the liquidity situation and our approach to liquidity management. The Reserve Bank and the markets evolved a shared understanding towards cooperative solutions during the pandemic period. A large government borrowing program was managed seamlessly. The issuance of corporate bonds reached a record level, that is 5.8 lakh crore during April-December 2020 as compared with 4.6 lakh crore during April-December of 2019. Explicit forward guidance was an innovative feature in the conduct of monetary policy during 2020-21. In addressing the discomfort of markets regarding persistently higher inflation prints and the large supply of government paper, the maintenance of financial stability and orderly evolution of yield curve. I have said this before and I repeat, the maintenance of financial stability and the orderly evolution of the yield curve were explicitly regarded as public goods, as the benefits accrue to all stakeholders in the economy. The RBI's market operations dispelled illiquidity fears and bolstered financial markets sentiment. Convinced by RBI's communication and actions, market participants also responded synchronously and cooperatively, which bears testimony to the effectiveness of our forward guidance. The measures taken by the RBI, combination of policy rate cuts, proactive liquidity management, and regulatory forbearance against the backdrop of global spillovers and the nationwide lockdown, ensured smooth transmission of policy rate cuts across the market spectrum, narrowing of risk spreads and rekindling of the corporate bond market. In GSEC market, in which risk-free benchmarks evolve, a record low weighted average cost of 5.78% and an elongated weighted average maturity of 14.9 years testify to the credibility of monetary and liquidity management operations of the Reserve Bank of India. On January 11th, money market and GSEC yields firmed up on perceived market misconceptions about the RBI reversing its accommodative policy stance. I repeat, on January 11th, money market rates and GSEC yields firmed up on perceived market misconceptions about RBI reversing its accommodative policy stance. In this context, it's very useful to remember that variable rate reverse repo auctions are already a part of our menu of instruments as the main tool under which the revised liquidity management framework this was the main tool under the revised liquidity management framework, and they were in active use even before the pandemic. They are voluntary, and in any case, the recourse to overnight fixed rate reverse repo remains available on a daily basis. Variable reverse repo rate auctions offer a higher remuneration than fixed rate reverse repo in view of the longer tenor, that is 14 days. The stance of liquidity management continues to be accommodative and completely in consonance with the stance of monetary policy. नमस्कार।